If you're wanting to increase the numbers of stories you tell, or the more frequently you tell the same story, what follows is just a very, very simple structure. So whether you're telling a story in a 40-second mention at a networking meeting, or whether you're writing a 40-minute speech in which you're going to tell stories, essentially this same very simple structure applies. And I know that what has put me off, which is why I'm going to share this structure, is the word tension or something like this, that there's a big disruption. But let me explain. So first of all, you set your story up, and that might be as simple to say, John was a bootmaker in Manchester, UK, repairing and making boots for everybody that came his way. That might be it. That might be the setup. But then comes, and I'm going to call it a disruption rather than a friction or a whatever thing, something that kind of gets in the way of that. Then somebody asked him a question that made him think about what he actually does. It might be something more challenging. It might be, but next door, somebody else set up offering even cheaper prices, or shoes so cheap that it wasn't worth having your old ones repaired. Whatever it is, something that threatened the status quo. But I think this is the point. It doesn't have to be anything big. It can be simply something that throws in a little bit of disruption to that sort of status quo of the fact that John is a bootmaker in Manchester. And then, of course, you're going to go on to say how that situation resolved. Now, if you're using that kind of story for your business purposes to show how you helped John, that part of the story is going to be how you helped him. What did you do to help him deal with that competitor, to answer that question he'd been asked? And then, of course, you can continue. So John now is the happiest bootmaker in Manchester. So very, very simple. And as I say, that can be in a 40-second networking presentation. It could be expanded in much greater detail on all three sections for a speech or a much longer piece. But with virtually every story you're going to tell, it's going to come down to that kind of structure. I used to really worry about this, because sometimes when I'm emceeing an event or something like that, I used to use reflections from when I was out on my daily walk or something. And it would be simply like, oh, as I was walking past the river the other day, I suddenly thought of this question in my mind. So there's a disruption. I'm walking peacefully along the river, and now I've got this thing popped up in my head that needs my attention. So it's just a minor disruption. It doesn't have to be a major tension in the way that I used to think it was. So I hope it's useful. And if you want to help with sorting out your stories, structuring them, which stories to use and so on, please get in touch. Let's have a call to see how I can help.